I've never seen anything like it before, and to attempt to hit the ball out of there is pure madness.
The winner of the gold medal and the champion golfer of the year is Cameron Smith.
This is the one that I've always wanted to win since I was a little kid. So it just feels pretty amazing to be able to get it done today.
It's amazing that it's my destiny to be the first Aussie to win. Just incredible.
Hello and welcome to episode 95 of the Playing from the Tips podcast, Golf Australia magazine's preview and tipping show covering the wide world of golf, where our so-called experts offer up some of their best tips each week and explore the interesting and uninteresting every tournament around the world. Jimmy Emanuel here in the host chair as we truly get in stride for 2025 with the Dubai Desert Classic, American Express and a touch of amateur golf at the Adidas Australian Amateur. Joining me for all that and so much more is a man who is so prolific as a weekly golf columnist. He touched on the hot button issues sometimes twice inside the same year with the same column without even realising it. Who else but Sydney Podcast Studio's very own and only Rod Murray.
You got the edited versions too. You can imagine the stuff I wrote where I made the same point within a story 4 times, having to remove 3 before I sent it along. Thank you, Jimmy.
Next, despite his protestations about tipping the TGL every week, Adrian Logue might now be its biggest fan after having more success that allows him to once again start bragging about wins he had no part in and no one particularly cares about. Logue, welcome.
Did I tip a winner?
We all did. Yeah. Oh, we're about to get into that.
Okay.
This is about to be our greatest move going to TGL.
I note that our friend one bearded golfer.
We'll get to that very shortly. Yes, so this is the point where we always reflect on the week prior, and we will start with the TGL and all the action inside the big warehouse. And of note, we are now being appointed the number one golf tipping podcast for the TGL by one bearded golfer.
Yeah, Dave Hill. Thank you, Dave. All the way from Kentucky. Well done.
What an honour for us.
Well, absolutely.
Number one. We haven't been number one in anything, I don't think so.
It's an outstanding endorsement.
Is anybody else there must be a betting show.
I think there's a lot of people who are talking about it.
I think there's a lot of betting going on with the TGL.
But we do this earlier than most other preview podcasts, so we're probably the first, which makes us number one.
Are they playing tonight, our time? Tomorrow, our time?
Tomorrow, our time. Yeah, tomorrow.
Our time.
Yeah.
Wednesday about 1 o'clock.
Yeah. That's right. So what did we think of the TGL?
Oh, wow. It's probably not my thing. I think there's a couple of things they got right. The timing on a Tuesday night makes a lot of sense. There's potential for the holes and stuff with that whole digital world and to open that up to other people being part of it globally and whatnot. What it is actually innovative. That doesn't mean it's great, but it's everything Liv isn't in that way. Liv pounds on this innovation idea, and all they did was take a day off and let people wear shorts. Nothing else looks really different about the Liv golf. This was completely different, which doesn't mean it's good. I don't know. I think it's got potential. And the other thing I think is we're not the demographic. The 11, 12, 13, 14, 15-year-old kids. Whether they watch it, I don't know. But they're more likely to watch something like that, I would suspect, than they are this week's Amex or the Dubai Desert Classic. I think it's got potential to do some interesting stuff, which is not to say it's got anything really to do with golf and club membership.
It's not the future of golf, is it?
No.
But it reminded me
of painting itself that either.
No, it reminded me a lot of one of those ESPN type of things where they dress up like disc golf or something like that. It's one of those very high on production and dressing something up for an audience to keep them entertained for an hour or two, which is exactly what it is.
It's closer to what the first T20 cricket was at an international level. So they started playing that as a club thing in England to be able to play more games for county cricket sides during the week after school. Internationally, they would bring retired players out of retirement. They'd mic them up. They'd joke around. It was a hit and giggle. And then they realised it was worth billions of dollars and it became a serious international level sport.
Now dominated at every
which is now the biggest thing almost.
Yeah. I don't see that happening.
I don't see that happening, but it's more that original version where it's the new version of exhibition golf, in my opinion.
What it lacks is personality.
That's exactly
right. Who
right.
would have been brilliant there? Phil Mickelson.
Correct.
That is so up his alley. Him, Bryson, and an edit.
Yep.
That could be.
Well, I don't know if it even needed editing. It was pretty. Went along at a pretty good pace.
It was okay,
I think the first one is going to be judged harshly because they needed to get people to understand the format, what it was. What probably showed up is maybe it's too long. 15 holes might still be too much.
9.
But there's probably an argument about we're bringing them in from some players occasionally will come from another place to there to then go somewhere else. There's a lot of people coming in to watch it. So whether an hour is too short for all of that spend and all that creation.
2 6-hole matches instead. There was no what we haven't seen yet is a competitive. There's nothing competitive about it. It was just a walkover, and that was boring.
That was also
whether that would make it more interesting.
Yeah,
it was as a golf nerd. You're watching the players hitting off the weird grasses and how the ball reacts. You could see the players. The ball would hit the green, and they'd be like, "This is not what I expected at all," despite having practice and all that sort of stuff. So there's a lot of stuff to get used to.
The green was interesting, but
again, gimmicky, interesting.
Only a problem for traditional golfers, I think. People just consuming it as a TV product go, oh, okay, that green's pretty cool. Like,
that's right. Oh, look, it moves around and you've got lots of camera angles and look, I don't know, there's a lot of money and a lot of big names involved in it. I'm not sure it's got that potential, but I didn't watch it and go, oh, this is just rubbish that I'm not interested in.
No.
It was, okay, it's somewhat compelling. Who doesn't want to watch Ludwig play golf?
Yeah. And I think
indoors.
I think you hit on the mark. Personalities is what it is.
Yes. It needs to be more fun.
It'll get a bigger sort of test this week with Tiger.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly.
Tiger playing this week and whether Tiger engages in it and whether he does.
Yeah, because if he does, when he does engage, Tiger actually is quite entertaining, articulate, thoughtful, interesting, and can be quite funny. But he spent most of his life just trying to deflect that so he can have some kind of problem. And he hasn't generally been that. So, yes, you're right if he is. I don't think we'll get the full Tiger needle that they get in practice rounds.
No.
But somewhere down that path there's potential. Look, you'd have to think some sort of live TGL thing at some point, just for the names involved. Tiger, Phil, Bryson, Brooks.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see how Tiger plays up to his persona as the GOAT. Like, there's just all eyes on him all the time.
Yeah.
And if he plays into that and just recognises, everyone wants to know what. So,
he's got a financial stake in it, so that tends to help motivate Tiger. I don't know whether you saw it. It was Tom Kim was interviewing Tiger, and it was typically Tiger. He's not quite there.
Yeah.
Kind of like the dad trying to be cool.
But he did say Riz.
Yeah, he did. I know, which was kind of the worst thing about it. I thought.
It's a bit cringe.
It was quite intentionally done that way.
Yeah, that's right.
So clearly they've got a social media person who's convinced him to make a fool of himself occasionally.
Maybe the summary of the whole thing last week was it was mid.
Yes, good call. Oh, is that a new thing too?
Yeah.
Mid?
No, and we're going to cut that there. That's where we're finishing the TGL conversation.
We're going to cut it?
No, that's where we're going to finish the conversation. Yes.
Cut it out.
Okay.
Yeah, there was some...
It wasn't bussing.
No, okay, this is why we're stopping that. There was some normal or regular sort of tournament golf on as well. We had a playoff for the first event of the Challenger PGA Tour of Australasia year in Perth. Jordan Dool and Hayden Barron, Minjee Lee and Min Woo Lee as hosts. I think everything was pretty good. Back to sort of action. Golf course was good.
Stop singing the praises of these events. It works, and it works.
It's very good. Yeah, fine work from you in the coverage as well, Jimmy. I thought
appreciate
very
that,
good. Walking interview with Min Woo and
is that right? Yeah.
And did the presentation as well. It's nice work.
Are you enjoying all that?
A playoff as well. Did you have to move your flight for the?
No, I had a red eye, but I've now done broadcast for 5 events this summer, 4 of which have gone to a playoff. Yeah. I think I'll stop getting.
You're the
work.
problem.
I am the problem.
Yeah.
Actually, no. The problem is my field producer, Peter O'Connor, who constantly keeps saying playoff on Friday afternoon. And so that's a word we don't say.
Not on Friday.
That's
just cruel.
No. There was also Nick Taylor winning the Sony Open in a playoff.
I didn't get to watch much golf at all this past week, including the Sony. It sounds like that was just an insane finish. Half an hour before the end, he wasn't even in the tournament. Then he wins a playoff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I like him. He's a good player.
Another one of those players.
He's exciting.
Yeah, really quite impressive and just gets things done.
Then just completely turns it off.
And then just disappears. Yeah.
But
that's what I'd imagine I'd be like if I was any good and I won something. I'd just disappear for a while. Wrapping up that action from last week, we had some success, as mentioned, in the TGL. All 3 of us tipping the winning team. We also had a winning GB&I for myself in the DP World Tours Team Cup. So we start the year with 4 wins and no top 10s because we're not going to give ourselves top 10s out of a 2-horse race.
Yeah.
So those numbers...
Take the rest of the year off.
Yeah, so those numbers, Rod, you would know, are unrivaled by any golf tipping podcast to ever mention the TGL and the Australian Amateur in the same episode.
Correct.
Yep.
100%.
Yeah, so
cannot be argued with.
On to this week, and Rod, you're going to lead off the batting with the Hero Dubai Desert Classic on the DP World Tour.
Indeed, and I sort of said this last week about the Sony. There are certain tournaments, aren't there, that you just associate with something, and whilst it was the first full field event for the PGA Tour last week, it feels like now the golf week world, year is underway because the Dubai Desert Classic comes around. It's always been a big event. They started it in 1989. The whole idea was to promote golf in Dubai as a destination for that sort of. We've watched the city grow up around it. You'll see all the photos on Twitter again this year comparing 1991 to 2024 and what's changed over there. But really quite a pivotal tournament more broadly than that. First tournament from the Middle East. First tournament ever broadcast live on Golf Channel in 1995.
It was Golf Channel's whatever something anniversary or something the other day.
Was it? 95 it started.
Yeah.
So, yes.
It was,
And the first tournament they
anniversary.
broadcast ever to appear on Golf Channel was the Dubai Desert Classic. But more than that, it kind of brought golf to the Middle East, and it was the only tournament there at the time. You now look at it, golf would be unimaginable globally without Middle East. There's four. This is the start of a 4-week swing. There's another 2 at the end of the year. The question is, Jimmy, has it worked? Do you know anybody who's gone to Dubai for a golf holiday?
I know someone who lives there and works there as a teaching professional.
Understand that, but has it achieved that? I was thinking about this. Professional golf, what it has to offer a lot of places is this tourism. And we rely on it here in Australia too. You know, you have a tournament at Royal Pines or Brisbane, at Royal Queensland or whatever. Those little postcard stuff that the government pays for those because it goes to other parts of the world at a time when it's cold and it brings people to Australia, not necessarily just for golf, but for tourism more broadly. And I wonder what the impact of this has been on Dubai. I think there's probably some cultural cachet comes with golf as well, perhaps.
I think so, but I think it probably does from not necessarily from Australia or from the southern
UK.
It's a UK thing. And the other thing it's done, it's brought huge amounts of people there to live. I mean, for a long time, if you're a European tour player with any money, you either lived there or you lived in sort of Switzerland or Monaco or something like that. But they've got a lot of people who live there. There's a lot of English, I think, travel there to go and play golf and do things. But I mean, I know a lot of people who've gone there to live and work in the golf industry and those.
I had other industries too.
It's definitely got an industry around it, but I'm not sure. Yeah, the tourism thing doesn't seem like a very good value proposition, does it? Like the golf that they've angled for is this high end, like €500 per round type of stuff. But then the experience doesn't quite match that with a King's Barnes or something, which is also in that price bracket.
Yeah, I think.
Or anywhere in Spain.
I was just going to say Spain and Portugal are the model I look at.
Yeah.
They really have succeeded as a golf destination for the people from the UK to go to. I just wonder whether Dubai's had the similar success from anywhere.
I would suggest it probably gets it out of places, maybe Asia and those sort of places as well, because they're looking for that golf experience that you're talking about, Lo, where they're just it's an exclusivity sort of a thing. And because I've quite a few friends who've gone and worked in other industries over in that part of the world as well, where it's all about tourism, but the golf would be an add-on or would be for people not like us, I suppose. But
it's just interesting. So because that tourism really drives a lot of professional golf. Most of the tournaments around the world, particularly outside of America, there'll always be some tourism component for the place where the tournament is played. We know the effect that the Masters has on Augusta, the town, every year. It's off the charts. And, the Vic Open every year, you go down there and you talk to the cafe owners and the people who've got shops and whatnot. There's a couple of the best weeks of the year is around the golf. So I remember doing a story many, many, many years ago about there were some towns in Australia who kind of rely on golf and the people it brings every year on holidays and whatnot, for a good slab of income. So, it just got me thinking about it. So it's interesting stuff. Having said that, they spend bucket loads of money on players and always have. And so they've always got a good field. And that's, I think, probably why the tournament sticks in your mind. I mean, Tiger's won it twice. Rory's won it 4 times, going for both 5 wins and a hat trick this year. And we'll talk about him in a minute and why he's almost unbackable. Played at the Magillas course at the Emirates Golf Club, except for twice. Since 1989, twice. I don't know why it went 2019, 2020, I think it was. Maybe it was to do with COVID, perhaps. Scoring tends to be good because, like all the courses that the players visit every year, they get to know it. Once they get to know it, they figure it out. They learn how to shoot low numbers on it. Only one time in its history has the winning score been not double digits under par, and that was when Lucas Herbert won in 2020. And if I recall, the wind was out of control that year. It was really, really, really difficult. So you expect to see lots and lots and lots of birdies. The other interesting thing this week, lots of live players in this field.
Yes.
So John Rahm is playing for the first time. This will be the talk of the week. I didn't know that Rahm had never teed up. You just assume that Rahm would have played the Dubai Desert Classic at some point because anybody has. But this will be his first time. Tyrrell Hatton. Who was the other one? Patrick Reed, who had such a terrific finish in 2023, finishing 1 shot behind Rory. That was pretty memorable. We'd love to see some of that again this week. Thomas Peters, Dean Burmester. I'm sure there's others, but the point being, it seems that the European Tour, DP World Tour, certainly is actively welcoming back these players. They kind of always have in that weird space that we're in.
Well, the European Tour keeps giving away its best players to the PGA Tour through that deal.
Yeah,
they
look,
gave.
so this is interesting. Or what?
Yeah.
No, I know, but
Or
still,
what?
yeah,
Or
still.
just continue to flounder? Here was the danger for the European tour. With
just
the PIF money, the
leaning into
Asian
being a
tour
feeder
became
tour.
much more likely as a potential secondary tour than the European tour for those players playing their way on. So, so look, I expect it'll be really good golf. Here's why Rory's the favourite. He played this event for the first time in 2007, miscut, tied 52nd, miscut to 2008. 2009, he won it. Since then, he's finished outside the top 5 exactly twice, 2011 when he was tied 10th and 2015 when he was tied 6th. So it's a Peter Thompson-like record over 15 years.
He's going to contend no matter what.
He's not finished outside the top 5, basically.
Yeah.
You know, once he did, it was tied 6th. So
be thereabouts.
he's almost unbackable
Yeah.
in that situation, which means, of course, he's probably not going to win. There's a lot of other good players in this field. Both the Højgaards are there. Make of that what you will. Our own Elvis Smiley and Min Woo Lee, both of whom won't be without a chance. I would think Min Woo would like this course.
Well, there's a
Might
name
be
you still haven't mentioned, which I'm sure is.
Oh, who have I missed?
Oh, okay. No, I'll interrupt. Keep going.
No, I'm done. Adam Scott, of course, is playing. But who have I missed?
Well, my pick is Tommy Fleetwood from
right.
my beloved LAGC.
Yeah, I didn't get to see much of the golf.
He's not on TGL duty this week.
How'd he
but,
go in the team cup? He's doing a lot of travel.
I don't know how he went in the team.
He actually was pretty good in the team.
Pretty
GB and
good. I only saw snippets
GB and
of
I
it.
smashed him.
None of it.
Which led by, again, another LAGC, Justin Rose.
We'll get to your beloved team shortly.
Okay, so you're tipping Tommy Fleetwood. I am going to go with Rahm, and I'll tell you what, I feel like Desert Golf will suit him, but also because a bit like Tiger, when he's got something to niggle him, he's dangerous. Brandel Chambly had a drive-by of John Rahm in late December that was just next level, and I'm guessing that John Rahm might have that in the back of his mind when he tees it up this week.
Nice. I'd like to see Akshay Bhatia go in and play in there.
Oh, actually, he's there as well.
That's a good thing. Dave Micheluzzi and Jason Scrivener as well.
Yes, I missed the other two. He's there.
We've gone from having just Jason Scrivener play.
I know, it's suddenly
we've got a bit of a crew again.
Yeah.
and all genuine contenders.
Yeah.
Guys who are literally potentially in there every week.
I
So-
think Jason Scrivener's actually going to have a really good year on the DP World Tour. He's played a couple of local events, and I've seen a fair bit of it, and I think he's ready to
always
have
felt
really
like a golfer who would mature, a bit old school, get to his 30s and then play his best golf. His best golf's not going to be Tiger Woods level, but it's going to yield more results than he's had. Jason Scrivener's a better player than his record suggests, which is a silly thing to say, but that's what I tend to think.
Absolutely.
Jason Scrivener.
well, I was thinking about Tommy Fleetwood, but given you've taken him, I'm going to take the the straightforward option of Rory so that we can get a top 5 on the board.
Yep.
Yeah, nice work.
That's team
This
play.
is the TGL effect.
Yeah,
Please
that's
play,
right.
take him on for
Oh,
the
we're
team.
counting
there.
top 5s now.
No, we count top 10s.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. And we haven't got one yet, despite having 4 wins. So we need to get one of those. So I'll take Rory to ensure that. There we go. Moving on, PGA Tour hits the US mainland after 2 weeks in Hawaii. And Logue, you're going to tell us all about the American Express. And what does this mystery company, American Express, do?
Yeah, or the Amex, as it's affectionately known, this tournament.
Affectionately.
Yes, affectionately.
Doing some heavy lifting there, isn't it?
And when they call it the Amex, I think they go capital A, lowercase m, capital E and X.
Oh, no, I think maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll have to.
I've always been an Amex guy.
Oh.
Is it Amex?
Yeah, that's good Point. Amex.
Tomato. I'm Amex.
That was last
Amex.
week. Nico Hearn kept calling it Royal Fremantle. I call it Royal Fremantle.
Yes, because you're right,
Well, he's from
But
Perth,
he's from there.
Yeah.
which is part of the problem.
All right, now back to
They
you.
grow up with the wrong pronunciation
Don't say
instilled in them.
Don't say Karen up around them either. That's like anyway. Anyway, I think this is technically the start of the West Coast swing for the PGA Tour, and it's a reasonably strong field.
It is actually.
As a pro-am format, which I don't even recall it had a pro-am format in previous years, but they must do. It always has been, but they must do quite a good job of keeping the amateurs out of the coverage because it's never really clicked with me.
It's the old Bob Hope.
Yeah. I'm aware, but anyway, I just
Apparently
just
you're
as a
not.
comment, I don't
Seems surprised.
I don't recall seeing too many amateurs in the coverage.
Certainly
do a
don't.
much.
They do
It's
a much
not.
better job.
It's not a Pebble Beach. It's they're here, and that's what's paying for the event. But this is a side.
Yeah. It's actually over 3 courses: the Nicholas Tournament course, La Quinta Country Club, and the Pete Dye's PGA West Stadium course. But it's a bit of a scoring fest traditionally. This one, PGA West, which initially was a bit of a beast when the tournament first came here many years, several decades ago, but now they just seem to treat it like it's a plaything. So
Pro-Am really helps that too. The Pro-Am format means easy pins, courses set up pretty easy because they've got amateurs in the field. They've got to get them around, so you always have low scoring. Is this where
This is where Duval's
30 under,
59.
59 and 30 under, I think, or 30-something under was the tournament record for?
Yep.
yeah. No, look, I'm not sure we're going to see something quite as low as what Hideki went a couple of weeks ago in Kapalua, but Nick Dunlap's winning score last year was 29 under par. So again, it's going to be in that sort of vicinity. Dunlap himself is back to defend this year, this time as a professional. Last year he made history as first amateur to win for a couple of decades, I think.
91, I think.
Since 91.
The plane called Mickelson. Mickelson was the last one, wasn't he?
Yeah. And he should be a contender again. Did he have 2 more wins, I think?
No,
one more win.
Barracuda.
So, he's like a seasoned pro now. And there's other notables in the field. Xander Schauffele, Patrick Cantlay, Wyndham Clark, Justin Thomas, Tony Finau, Sung Jae Im. But all through the field, it's a pretty strong field. A couple of Australians, Cam Davis and Jason Day. Obviously, Schauffele, I think, will be the most interesting player. We haven't seen him yet, but he's had consistent results at this event. I like, however, Sung Jae Im, who I think in these birdie fest situations is a player who can go quite low.
Yeah. Particular sort of golf, isn't it? It's a particular style of golf, this sort of pedal to the metal from the first tee Thursday.
Yeah. And look, he doesn't win as much as you'd expect him to, but I think this is an opportunity for him to win. He's certainly going to, he's a birdie machine. So let's see how we go. Just as an aside, iconic supergroup Journey are playing the event as part of the American Express concert series.
Nice.
Rod, you'll remember their big hit, Don't Stop Believing.
Yeah, of course. Inspirational. Led to the birth of Sydney Podcast Studio.
Actually, history making as
also
the biggest selling digital signal of the 20th century, the entire 20th century. Something to do with it.
And that's over now. Nobody can take that away from
That's right.
All the sales are in. Well, there you go. That's a bizarre statistic.
Must be something to do with the timing of when it came out, like in the 90s with the perfectly aligned with when people were buying digital stuff. So there you go.
Nice.
Yeah.
I wonder if any of the members of Journey are playing in the Pro-Am.
Oh, good point.
Well, you wonder what a celebration it's going to be given the fires in California and what's been happening there. You would think that there's going to be some impact on the field, being a Pro-Am. You'd have a lot of high-profile celebrities who would normally be in that field who probably won't be, given what's happening in California. You would think the tone of the whole thing is going to be. It's difficult. What do you do?
We might get to this later, but LAGC playing in the TGL.
That's right.
That's going to be a bit somber.
But, you've spent all that time and money building all the infrastructure, everything ready to go, and this has happened, and it's like, well, you've got no choice. The tournament's going ahead, and we're talking about, Riviera likely won't go. They won't play at Riviera. They're talking about trying to move it to Arizona.
Yeah, that'd be very unlikely, I'd say, at this stage. So
the only reason they've mentioned Arizona is because it's hosting the tournament the following week, which means all the infrastructure's in place and it's tournament ready. So you could move there and play it there and have but I just don't see that happening either. Logistically, how do you move an entire golf tournament 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out, or whatever it is, from one state to another? So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens at the Amex this week. I suspect it'll be a fairly low-key affair, you would think.
And your tip is, Rod?
I like Xander Schauffele, and the reason I like Xander is because he's finished third or runner-up, I think, last 2 years. He's played it twice and finished third. Third both times. But this is his kind of golf the birdie fest. But I reckon what happened with Xander last year, he added an element of grinding to his game. We saw it particularly at the PGA. He had a real struggle. I think it was the second or third round. It shot even par when he had no business shooting less than 75. And that part of his game having changed, I think that puts him in the driver's seat this week.
Nice. Also fresh off a TGL win as captain.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. Oh, no, off loss.
Loss, yeah, no.
Lost.
Well, what does it matter? It's just exhibition golf. He doesn't care.
He was
Wins give confidence. Yeah. Losses don't care. That's how it works.
He was just blowing the cobwebs out.
Yeah, that's true. I'm going to go with Patrick Cantlay, who we haven't seen for a while. Desert golf kind of suits him.
Low-key tournament, low-key winner.
He could just come out and dominate. You don't know. I think that's one of the reasons, just coming into that one, is why Rahm didn't play Dubai. He played this every year. So obviously had an Amex.
Isn't this where he made the comment about the putting competition? It's a putting competition.
Correct.
And yet he was his kind of golf. Like he was...
Yeah.
He does well in those conditions with sort of a birdie.
I like that, though. I like having a go at the thing that you're best at.
There's a bit of bit of Gary Player about him, isn't there?
There's something about it.
If we got fast greens this week, I love fast greens. Can't get enough of fast greens. Slow greens, I love slow greens. They're the best greens to putt.
Yep.
You just got to convince yourself that week. That's all you need.
Yep. As mentioned at the top of the show as well, big week for amateur golf in Australia. Adidas Australian Amateur taking place on the Melbourne Sandbelt starting Tuesday. 312 men and women contesting their own individual events but held at the same time.
We've really confused that whole thing with the way we did the Vic Open and now we're doing the WebEx. We've really made that awkward.
Yeah. Recently restored Commonwealth Golf Club and the soon-to-be-closed Cranbourne Golf Club host venues for this week. Commonwealth, I actually had a good look at recent Sandbelt Invitational, end of December. Tom Doak's Renaissance Golf did the work there. It's more realistic, truly Sandbelt golf again. It's genuinely very, very good. And a lot of the players here have seen it quite a few times. There's quite a few played the Sandbelt Invitational, but then Ewan Porter's Next Gen Amateur Tour had their final there, their world final there. A lot of them played there, so they've actually got a lot of experience around there. And the best scores at the Sandbelt Invitational came from amateurs. Because they'd played it before, they knew what was going on. So
because they're not really amateurs, they're just professionals in waiting. There's a level of golf that's in between amateur and professional, which we need to rename.
Yeah, correct. Cranbourne, of course, is the golf course where David Micheluzzi started his career, and they've joined up with Huntingdale. It's kind of its last hurrah.
It's a shame Mika won't be there to do some donuts in the car park in his Commodore at Cranbourne like the old days. I don't know if he ever did donuts in the car park, but I reckon he'd love to.
Suggest he may have done something like that.
He'd have an impish grin if you suggest that and say, no, not me.
Yeah. No. Judging by the cars he gets around, I suggest that's probably right. On the players' side, quite a few of Australia's top women have actually turned pro. Caitlin Pearce, Justice Bosio, and a few others have turned pro recently, but there's still this great level. Amelia Harris was runner-up last year. She is one of the shining lights in sort of that level of golf. Her fellow Victorian Jazzy Roberts, Ella Skaysbrook from New South Wales, and Shyla Singh from Queensland, who won the Aussie Junior. Very impressive player. On the men's side, Harry Takis was third at the Master of the Amateurs a couple of weeks back around Sandbelt sort of style golf. Billy Dowling is constantly in there. Declan O'Donovan was a name that popped up a bit during the sort of men's tour events at the end of last year. And Australian All Abilities Championship winner, Kip Poppett, back in the Australian Amateur, which is...
He's a bit like Rory at Dubai, isn't he?
Yeah.
Kip.
Yeah, so Kip would be worth watching if you're around the area. I don't know if you two have had much of a look at the field, whether you've got a tip for us in the men's and the women's.
Well, I do. You go first, Lane.
Well, I like that. I'm going to butcher his name.
Kai Komulainen.
That guy.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. What about
For the
the
same
think he went
reason
on-
as me, because it's the only name in the field you really recognise, and it's thanks to friend of the pod, Ewan Porter, who's constantly tweeting about his
I've
performance
heard
in his...
Ewan talking about him, but also I think he went well in the Master of Amateurs.
He did. Yeah, he did indeed. Yeah. Yep. Women's pick, Luke?
Hyojin Yang.
Nice.
Again, Master of Amateurs.
Yep.
Good performance.
Yep.
And
I'm going to go with Amelia Harris and Billy Dowling. Amelia Harris is genuinely one of the best young players I've ever seen. And I've seen her play now for 5 years. And Sandbelt Invitational, the most recent, and I interviewed her one day and I said, people like Clayton and I used to tell you, you hit shots that other players didn't hit and that you had some things that others maybe didn't. You're starting to now realise? She goes, yeah, I'm starting to now realise I'm better than a lot of people.
she'll feel very comfortable in those courses too.
And headed for
Till Sunday morning.
college in the States as well.
Because last year, if you recall, she had a 6-shot lead going into the last round.
Yeah.
And
At her home club.
At her home club, and she didn't win. I actually think that will be very good for her. She's spoken about that briefly this week to
Blakey,
Mark
yep.
Blake.
Yep.
I agree that she is something special. I only saw her play once. I was in the first Sandbelt Invitation. She was 13 years old. Peter Fowler was in the field. He was 63 at the time. So I got the two of them together. It's like oldest and youngest, what a game we play. The questions she asked him, well, she really only asked him one, but it was incredibly impressive because all she said to him was, basically, how do you stop getting mad after you hit a bad shot? At 13 years old, this is the question she asked. And Fowler's answer was brilliant. So in the interest of making this all about me, if she goes on to win this week, it may well be that little piece of advice had something to do with it. And if I hadn't brought them together, just saying. No, it was impressive. You're right. Physically, she can really play.
That
I
is
think
remarkable.
mentally, she's incredibly mature. So she'd be my tip. And Kai Kunlan only because he's the only player I've heard of. Really.
Nice.
I'm not going to pretend like I follow it.
You don't follow it.
I don't. Would you? I mean, it's a shame. But Jimmy, you would through your work.
This highlights
I
the
do
importance
to a
of
certain
what
film,
Absolutely.
the next gen series.
I tell you when we take notice, when they turn up in the WebEx series.
Yep.
Well, they haven't just turned up there because they've just taken up golf.
No.
They've been honing their games in events organised by the good people at the Golf New South Wales, Golf WA, Golf Australia. They put on all these events and clubs put them on to get these players. We don't hear about it much, but
we hear about it through social media though, and
more so than
a lot of the like I've heard Kai's name a lot through just Ewan posting his swing, and
just saying, is this the world's best golf swing or is this one of
that stuff?
Who's the young girl from Czech Republic? I think he posts her swing a lot. I think she turned pro recently.
Yeah.
Ewan, yeah.
Yeah.
He's got an eye for a good swing, put it that way.
Yeah.
Ewan, so.
There'll be plenty of coverage from Golf Australia as well. The mentor and protege of Martin the Gazelle Blake and Patrick the Cobra Taylor working the Australian Amateur together is maybe a worry for
some mental pictures.
Yeah, it's quite a scene, those two together.
Gazelle
But anyway,
and Cobra.
they will be doing all of that. And finally,
Car Club.
Would you rather be attacked by 50 Cobra-sized gazelles or one gazelle-sized cobra?
That's an interesting
50
question.
Cobra-sized gazelles, I think.
Yeah.
You
I'm
could
thinking
kick
so
those
too.
away.
You can kick them away.
Yeah.
Sweep them away with a
Yeah.
broom. A gazelle-sized cobra's a
Gazelles and Cobras are freakish thing. Anyway, finally, TGL rolls on this week at the SoFi Centre. I just like saying that. Los Angeles Country Club, your team, Lo.
My beloved LAGC.
Taking on the might of Tiger Woods and his Jupiter Golf Links. Lineups are Colin Morikawa, Justin Rose, Sahith Theegala for LA, going up against Max Homa, Tiger Woods, Kevin Kisner. Who gets the first ever TGL win? Rod.
Oh, it's got to be Tigers then, doesn't it? Just out of sheer fear and respect for the boss.
Nice.
There's certainly going to be a somber note to this with
Absolutely.
the fires in LA.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And given, Homer and Tiger both come from there as well, right
Yeah.
around that area. So
Yes, exactly.
It's,
Literally.
yeah.
Ironically, playing for Jupiter, but
Yeah. Logue? Obviously tipping your team.
LAGC.
Yeah, I'm tipping Jupiter because I want to tip against Logue's team pretty much every week.
Justin Rose has got to get all the way back from, when were they? Abu Dhabi. Thing. So that's already one down there.
Yeah, yeah. That will just about do us for episode 95. Rod, I imagine you're probably heading home now to prepare your TGL watch party, go and buy the soft drinks.
I hadn't thought of it, you're right.
Yeah.
Better.
Yeah.
Imagine if I had some friends, I could invite them over to watch it as well.
That's
Was it
true.
1 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon? Not a terrible time necessarily.
Yeah. It's,
You've got 1 day, 1 hour, and 34 minutes to go.
we
according
said
to the
this, we said
countdown
this
on-
last week.
Where's
That
the
date's
countdown
when we
clock?
post this.
Shh.
Fine Tuesday afternoon here that we're chatting.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Logue, you'd surely be, rather than reading for a TGL watch party, some trip to some far
Actually,
corner
good
of the
see
golf
you.
handicapping globe. Maybe you can get into handicapping the TGL.
Oh,
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I will. Off course handicapping certainly is a big thing. But
It is, yeah.
I'll be.
Tiger doesn't have to walk, by the way. That's the key.
It actually, we
he
actually
doesn't have to
could
walk. He's just got to hit golf shots. Well, forget it.
you could actually watch quite some special stuff. This
Yes,
week with that.
agreed.
Yeah,
He'll be in a good mood too. Did you see him hit the camera above the
yeah.
the
First try,
screen?
yeah.
I love how he was. That was a brag.
Oh,
as
it's
well.
a flex. He does it
He
all
was
the time.
like
He's-
he wanted to brag about it. I love
yeah,
that.
absolutely.
Yeah.
He
That's
did that years ago with the Stinger.
Yeah,
He
the
took out
the tailor-made videos they do with their players where they'll go and hit shots. He is at his almost best.
He really is.
Because he's surrounded by some of the other best players in the world hitting shots they can't hit. Or even there was a thing about him telling Scotty Scheffler he didn't take a divot for like 12 months when he was at his best.
Yeah, I
And
saw that.
everyone is still not sure if he was just messing with Scotty Scheffler's head about taking divots when he's hitting it good.
Do you breathe
Yeah.
in or
Like-
right on the backswing? It's
Yeah,
that kind of
it's
thing,
that
isn't it?
sort
If
of
Tiger
thing. That was
sent it to you
fascinating.
Suddenly,
It's that. It's
taking a
that
divot.
just-
Whether
yeah.
I tell you what though, if Tiger's taking a divot or not taking a divot, that's a choice.
yeah, that's right.
100%.
It's not because he's like, oh, I'm in good form. It's no, he's choosing
Yeah,
to not
correct.
take a divot or
Yeah,
to take
exactly.
It's like those. What was who was your karate guy? Chuck
Norris.
Norris. Yeah, all those jokes of about 10 years ago.
Oh yeah, yeah.
If you've got $5 and Chuck Norris has got $5, Chuck's got more money than you. That's Tiger.
You can, of course, follow all the action mentioned here and so much more on the Golf Australia magazine website, golfaustralia.com.au. Thank you for listening to Playing from the Tips, and we will be back next week.